Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Alani from BSS. I'm here with Riddell and Ty. We're gonna be talking about the new JJK leaks. Some interesting things actually happened towards the end of the chapter. Is it? Are we gonna eventually get a sequel? Maybe is more things going on? Is there a new villain? Who knows? There's only a few chapters left, but yeah, let's get going. How are you guys doing?
Man, I'm here for it. Like I said, didn't like the Sukuna ending, but I gave it enough room to breathe to see, hey man, I'm here, KJ. I'll be here for the next 4 chapters. Don't I haven't given up like I gave up on Black Clover, so
Yeah, I haven't given up yet. I'm a little.
Why you give up Black Clover?
bro, Black Clover's on some BS recently, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It's not ideal.
Yeah, no, I'm I've been worried about JJK, but I'm not giving up on it yet. I love JJK too much. But let's get started on the chapter. So first panel is Mei Mei looking at some old lady at a shop. Uh,
Um,
yeah, she's looking at her at a shop. They're just kind of facing off a little bit. And then next panel, we see Maki yelling, "Hey you, just because you're back in your original body doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows." She's yelling at Yuta, our boy, the real MC.
facts.
Yeah.
The MC that the author wanted, but
I love editors, man. They always they do their job well.
yeah. Tell that to Kubo. And then Yuta's like, about that, Maki-san. Then she's like, "Hey, Megumi, what's going on?" He's like, "I'm feeling a bit hazy, but is this really the effect of the infinite void? Really? He should be in a wheelchair. I'm sorry, he should be a vegetable, taking all those infinite voids. I don't care. Oh, his head just a little bit hazy. Taxing it.
Oh, Yuta's like all fine. He's in his original body and everything.
Yuta's chilling. Megumi's like, "Oh, I feel a little hazy, like he like he smoked or something. Like what?"
I mean, we know that you just getting living in void doesn't mean that you're going to be in a chair. Like we've seen, like some of the for example, like Maito, all the folks get hit by it, they were fine.
No, I don't care about the limited void stuff. I'm just like, Yuta went through it. Like he absolutely went through it and went to a whole different body and everything. So, and they made it seem like Yuta's body was cooked. So,
but they said that one of the possibilities that he could just return fine when they were saying like, oh, 3 possibilities. He could either die, return when I once the time was up, either die, return to his body, or stay and go to his body.
So yeah, at least build up to that, the fact that he just returned to his body, but we can keep reading. Maybe they explain it.
Megumi says, "I really want to apologize to everyone properly." Maki says, "Save it for later. You got nothing to apologize for anyway." He says, "No way." Yuji's like, "I got my own reasons." Who's the first grade sorcerer? I'm terrible with names.
Which one? The dude with the
sword.
Kusakabe.
Kusakabe. He's like, "It all started with Gujo's blunder of sparing Itadori's life, and now he's tangled up with these cursed sorcerers behind the magic terrorism." By the way, I was totally on board with the death penalty for Itadori. If it weren't for Yaga-san, I wouldn't even be here. But I don't think it's wrong or anything. Each truth is like a beautiful tapestry woven together to create the now. So you guys don't need to feel guilty about anything. Seriously, kid, just act your age. You're making it tough for us grown-ups. So, I mean, that's good perspective because, like, objectively, killing Itadori objectively was probably the right move for the JJK society, but Gojo is Gojo. So yeah, I see both sides. And then Yuji says, "What's the reasoning behind Oda Senpei's body returning?" He says, "Thanks to Rika-chan, I thought our connection was lost, but she didn't stick with Gojo Sensei's body. In reality, Rika-chan repaired and maintained my body, which was treated by Iri-san using reversal techniques. I thought we were done for when Saku's technique reached its limit." That's when Mei Mei says, "That was a bit of a miscalculation, huh? I thought that show was able to act even in the first
Lonnie, there's no way you can read the text bubble right next to. I have no idea what that says. Absolutely no idea.
He probably divided multiple techniques. Intentionally seems like an application of barrier techniques." He mumbles something. something about experience. Yeah, I can't read that one, but everyone else.
Yeah, that is
fine.
fine. So they're saying Yuta is back because Rika didn't actually disappear. She just went to repair his body. I mean, hey, whatever.
And it's kind of a. Is it a bit of a stretch? Yeah, but it's not. It's whatever at this point.
Basically, they use RCT.
Say that
Yeah, they
again.
use, like the nurse chick, the nurse doctor chick was using RCT, and Rika, I guess, returned to the body to help, I guess, or to
Yeah, 'cause
maintain.
at least I saw in the one of the translations said that they were using RCT on him.
Yeah.
So that, and then Rika was maintaining his body somehow. So RCT. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's whatever. I'm
Yeah,
not going to make
the
a big.
final part of the explanation is after the technique rebooted, Rika-chan as the external technique reconnected with my body in a quantum death state, and that's how we got here. Sorry for worrying you all. But honestly, I could care less about that story. And then that's when Maki's like, the real issue is whether Yuta's managed things well enough. We could have won much easier, you know. Then Maki's like, first, it's Kenji's surprise attack. I should have been the one to take charge of this. And then there's Nichigiri's executioner's blade strategy. If I combine this with the remote curse words, victory would have been a breeze. I should have let Nichigura handle the voice recorder. Curse words can't be unleashed all at once. They're considered active from recording to playback, so only one recorder is allowed.
I don't see the point of like addressing an alternate way of winning the fight.
I guess she's saying that she should have been the one to try to kill Kenjaku and all that, but
I mean,
that also means that she would have had a. I don't know. Well, Toto's like, no way, Maki. You can't be my target for the unholy game technique. Even if it's a code scoot, it's a real gamble to think he could pull off a surprise attack without my help. Plus, to rein in the rampage of curse techniques, we definitely needed the combined strength of Akotsu and Rika. Who's the blue hair chick? I'm so terrible with names.
bro, I don't even know why she's back in the story. She didn't.
Yeah, I don't even know. But the blue hair girl that
Miwa.
Yeah, well, she said my heart dropped at the thought since I was holding back as a precaution against Maki's marker and area effects. I was worried what would happen if Toto Senpai's technique saved only me.
Dang, hold on a second. Riddell, she can't reconvene with people? She had to stay out. She had to stay away?
Nah.
Well, even more useless person.
Irrelevant.
Irrelevant
people don't deserve dialogue.
No, I'm saying like she should just like, okay, now the threat's gone, just stay away from Jujutsu Tech. Like this.
No, we're wasting text boxes on her, bro.
Yeah.
Well, about to waste the text box on somebody else because I forgot they even existed.
There's plenty of text boxes in this chapter.
All right. Yeah, Sword Nigga goes, you said you weren't going to join the fight, remember? Even if I speak up, it'll be Miss Kasuko. And then Miss Witch Chick, who I forgot back in season 1. I don't remember ever seeing her again in anything. Oh, wait, no, she threw some dust at Kenjaku and Shibuya. I forgot. She threw dust at him.
WW.
She said, I feel a bit...
helping we get away with the
Oh, good job. She was a taxi, a backup taxi.
Was it helpful?
Maybe, I guess. I feel a bit bad for not getting my turn, though. May's like, what are you talking about? Your broom was super comfy to ride. Oh, so I guess it's like Uber. It's like Uber X. Is that what it is? Like the extra Uber that's like a little bit more expensive.
Hey man, Sukuna's a curse and she's a Uber driver.
Yeah. Then Hikari's like, I was planning to take on Sukuna after dealing with the Rame, but wow, they were tough. And then Nabarro was like, I was snoozing right up until the last moment, so I can't say much.
W alarm clock.
Yep. And then Maki says, even so. Black dude's like, the foreign ace. If those guys were here from the start, it would have been a totally different. They're all now everyone's staring at Yuta.
Wait, what did they say? I can't
If
read.
those guys have been there from the start, things would have been totally different. That's what they said.
What guys? Wait, what?
The black guy, and the other foreign guy.
Oh, if they should have. If everybody just showed up if everybody showed up earlier, So we're just saying this planning was just awful.
Yeah, they're
No,
complaining about the planning, and now they're all
no,
yelling at Yuta.
no. They saying I don't think it's necessarily saying the plan was awful because so Machi presented a plan that they should have done, and then Toto was like, "Not actually, what we did was right." And they're saying, well, they wish that those other two had showed up earlier, but I don't think they had any. You just didn't bank on them showing up though.
I
Because a
think
lot
it's
of
mainly.
because you think about some of the sources, they were like for example, the comment nigga, he was like, man, I ain't getting involved with this.
I mean, I can barely read it. So,
But I
but
think
I mean,
also
I do think Yuta probably didn't know for sure if they're going to show up. But
it's mainly
Yeah,
Maki complaining because I think she doesn't like that Yuta was in a bad situation.
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
it's.
It's mainly her. And then Yuji says, and thanks to Senpai Akotsu's curse tools, we managed to hold our ground. Well, that's just how it goes sometimes. Thanks to Senpai Akotsu, I was able to divide into the second domain of my homework. Matt, he's calling his domain expansion his homework. And then Hikari says, it was great that we could trigger that moment within Rika. I was able to chase down the cursed spirit after Gojo-san's guidance, and I managed to separate Iruma all from the cursed spirit part early on after the fight.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of lost. They're talking about this plan. There's 3 chapters left. It's like half of this chapter is talking about the plan. I just don't see the point of talking about the plan this much. But keep going.
Basically, to sum up, because with Toto talking, they were talking about Sukuna's range and how.
Well, actually, let me take that back. I think I see the point of talking about the plan to kind of clarify any issues people had with what was going on in the fight, which I think is fair. I think actually is fair. Never mind. Can you read this part with Toto? Because I have no idea what you say.
Well, I have a backup translation too, so I'm just double checking. What does
I'm not
Toto
gonna lie
say
over there.
exactly?
My thing is though, I feel like a lot of the so here's the thing. I don't think see I understand that the explanation. Do I think it's 100% necessary? Not necessarily. Only reason I think it'd be necessary for people who have some of these questions that I feel like were rather obvious. So like for example, right? Later in this chapter they're gonna mention like, oh, Inumaki should have used cursed speech that could have hit Higuruma. And then they stress like, oh well, if Sukuna was so powerful, it would have caused Inumaki to instantly die. Now I thought that fact was rather obvious because we've seen Inumaki use cursed speech on Hanami and almost like literally pass out. So I think obviously using Sukuna would blow. But people are like, why didn't Inumaki just use it? I'm like, it's because he can't right now. Like it's just so I feel like for people who just didn't connect the dots, that I feel like some of them were pretty obvious. I feel like I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, one thing that I realized though, because when you're reading something week to week, it's not as, and you're just kind of reading it casually. It's not as easy to retain all the information, especially if there's breaks in between. So I think this is fine because most of the fan base is casual people who are just reading to read, not reading to like understand all the intricacies, just kind of along for the ride. Um, and I don't know if that's good or bad in terms of like writing a manga necessarily, like having all these different intricacies to the point where it gives it definite rereadability, but also for the person who's just like combing, like reading it week to week, not rereading chapters, not going back in the manga, and they're just like, I'm confused, I don't know what's going on. I don't know which one is better, the better recipe for retaining an audience, because that's something I thought about when it comes to Jujutsu Kaisen. I have the ability to reread the manga, I guess similar to Attack on Titan, but to a different extent. But for I think weekly Shonen Jump manga in particular, um, and that's something that I was thinking about because the mangaka obviously cares about these little finite details more so than most manga that I've seen. I'm not gonna lie.
All right. To continue, there was a half page missing, but it's only a panda saying that they couldn't use the curse speech because Sukuna was too strong in the beginning and it would have killed him. And then the salmon guy's like, salmon roll. But from there, what Toto said, because I looked up the other translation because that shit was hella small. Toto says, there's a lot I'm responsible for too. Working with Miss May had us prepared for Sukuna's domain, and yet Choso and my brother were still caught in it. Then that's when. Then the Hakari's girlfriend or whatever, I forget her name.
Lonnie, I would just, because reading this is kind of little
I
all over
can
the
just give
place.
I
So
can
I
just
would
give
just
summary.
just start talking about the chapter and what's going on. I'll read it myself, but start talking about the chapter.
Okay. Hakari's girlfriend starts talking about like asking about the range. And then they said like then Yuji's like it was nobody's fault. And then Maki is like basically saying like it's nobody's fault really that all this happened, but she's clearly still frustrated with Yuta.
She loved him real bad.
One second.
Lonnie, gotta talk to. What were you saying? What, we'll talk about it we'll talk in generalities because reading it through the translation is not really working. What did you think about the chapter from the rough scan translations?
From the rough scans, I mean, again, I felt like I get why Gege chose to do this. For me, it wasn't 100% necessary because I feel like I've revisited JDK a lot. So maybe going through you saying like, so I felt like certain things like were just pretty. A lot of things that you could assume were just reasonable, like with the Inumaki thing they just mentioned. Like if Inumaki, like we saw Inumaki struggle with her speech, and it depends on how powerful the opponent is. So that's just a reasonable thing. I'm like, okay, well, that's why. Like, we saw that the weaker Sukuna got, the weaker the characters that got involved. For example, Nobra is one of the weaker characters in the series. That's why she was in the final assault. You feel me? Like, as the character, we saw Gojo, then Kashimo, then it slowly got weaker and weaker for as far as opponents jumping in. So I felt like Inumaki coming at that point, it just was like, oh, Sukuna's obviously weak enough for it to be effective.
No, I'm here. I'm here with you. Like, I think I'm fine after like thinking about it. I'm fine with the recap to kind of explain why certain decisions are made. Now, I can't see all the full translation. Some of the panels are just missing for me, so I can't even see everything. But Lonnie, can you touch upon the Mei stuff? Because I can't even see that panel.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Mei stuff?
So first, Yue saying how he felt like he was the MVP, which he low key, he was up there. He was up there for sure. Hikari's girlfriend's like, "Didn't you leave me mid fight?" And then he's like, "Oh, you're heavy." Then they start fighting. Mei then says like, "My life is priceless. There's no use betting on the priceless." And then she talks about how she used the new shadow technique. Hikari's like, "You mean dealing with the binding veil forbidding simple domain from being taught to outsiders?" And Kusakabe explains that the original creator of the simple domain made binding vows with the intention of simple domain being inaccessible to curse users. And then as the generations go on, the new shadow style was no longer of public interest, and the simple domain technique became a secret hidden behind a paywall. And then they said that clan basically monopolized the technique, and they invite the disciples, then have them undergo unnecessary binding vows. New Shadow is a cornerstone for sorcerers without techniques. And then Toto, who learned it from Tsukome, is in Michimaru's style. Someone asked what's tricky about the binding vow, stopping it from being taught to outsiders. And then she says, well, the only part is the fact of being unable to refuse the head of the school when they ask you to mobilize. So basically, if you use the new shadow technique in the simple domains, you're basically like their soldiers pretty much. Hold on one second. This isn't so much about a technique or a binding vow using jutsu, it's more like a curse. Although who knows how true it is. Apparently the head of the school absorbs the user's lifespans. And then Nabaro's like they absorb their lifespans. No one knows who the head of the school is, which is why there's no way to tell if the lifespan contract exists or how it functions. After all, there are grandpas and hags that live long lives even after using it. When the head dies, the school's best disciple succeeds them. However, only they are made aware of it, which means that we have no way of sussing that out. And so basically, they're bringing in like a new element or a new like kind of like a new faction. Even though we've known about simple domain and factions for a while, apparently like there's more to them than we originally thought. Like they're kind of like a cult almost, and they have a bunch of unnecessary binding vows. Kusakabe says that like he explained some of the binding vows, like how they're not allowed to sleep. I don't know how that works. Maybe they just use constant RCT so they don't sleep. There's other binding vows and stuff like that. So it's like I don't know. They're kind of like slaves almost, which is weird.
What is all this lore dump at the end?
That's what like. There's 2 chapters left, and we're getting random lore dumps on the new Shadow style.
And simple domains. I'm like, what? When did we need to know that much about simple? I want to know about the Heian arc, and we're getting a whole explanation on simple domains and shadow style. I didn't realize simple domain was going to be that important in Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, okay. That's just a crazy amount of lore dump because there's.
Kusakabe says the ties of Shin-In can only be severed by the head. The best of my knowledge, none of the high-ranking disciples have any information about the head. Then Mei's like, he wasn't here, was he? And then he said, right now I am the true head of the Shinkage. So the shackles of the simple domain and curse of morality are no longer a concern. So for some reason, he's now the new head, but he doesn't even know how he's the new head. But come on, at least leave some perks for those who enter the folds. Mei's like, one day you will be the head of the Reiki and a hefty tuition fee from the disciples every month. Sister, you're such a money grabber. Looks like the curses are in the subscription era now. And then we go back to I guess this is a flashback where Mei's talking to this old lady. And the old lady's like, how much? And then Mei's like, this is about your life, you know. Why are we here? You think I'm the head of the clan? I just asked someone I know, you know. No one. And then the old lady's like, no one can possibly know. And
I'm reading some like, because I'm not gonna lie, you're just like dumping information, Lonnie. So I'm gonna try to look up summaries because I don't have access to the full chapter. One thing you might have already addressed it, but to kind of bring this out as a talking point. So apparently Yuji said that Yuta gave him a cursed tool that allowed him to hide Yuji's finger from Sukuna.
Yeah, no, I mentioned that when because there was like a picture of the cursed tools or whatever.
Yeah, it was those those gauntlets.
Yeah, those gauntlets that he had on.
Mei.
I think that given everything that well, you know what, this does go back to here's the thing, right? Again, maybe the simple domain stuff we could have just not known about it, but the problem I think the problem is that it was hinted during the fight when they were trying to teach people simple domains, and then they were talking about like some of these topic cases they might have, and then Mei says, "I took care of it." It's a chapter really far back, and then we're figuring out what Mei meant by that. So
Yeah, so this is actually where it gets important. So she's talking to the old lady. She's like, the old lady's like, "Why are you here?" And then she's like, "I just asked someone I know to gather." And then she starts talking to gather more disciples and rise to the ranks of the 3 great houses. You intended to dominate the entire sorcery world along with the main headquarters, didn't you? And then the old lady just says, Tengen. It must have taken years, even draining the life force from their disciples, to witness that vision, right? Truly a grand ambition that money can't buy. But you know, there are things far more precious than money. You can't protect what you cherish without funds. There were sorcerers who could have lived if they weren't shackled by the simplified domain. And now, if the Kyonin family falls apart and the Kamo and Gojo clans take each other down in this grand showdown. Above all, they're trying to tarnish my brother's name. This was bound to happen. And then we see blood all over the floor.
So the old man was the previous head of JJK,
Looks like an old lady.
or then
I
I'm
thought-
reading it. It says old guy here, so
I thought it was the leader of the Shadow Style.
Yeah, it's the leader of the Shadow Style that she just.
previous head of the Shadows, bro.
So basically, Mei
This is
went to
like-
Tengen. Mei went to Tengen to find out who was the true head of the Shadow Style, killed them, and then is now saying, "Oh, the clans are basically going to take each other out," and then mentions that they're tarnishing her brother's name. She's not talking about Yu. She's not talking about that nigga. So who's this mystery brother?
Gojo?
She's not a part of the Gojo clan.
I don't know at this point. There's just like, what are we doing?
She just said what clan she was a part of like earlier this chapter. So
yeah, I think that I don't think these translations are that clear.
Yeah, me too. Because there's just so much. This is like, out of all the times we need a rough translation, this chapter probably was the worst one because there's so much going on in this chapter, bro.
yeah, Jujutsu Shippuden. But like basically at the end, she's saying that the remaining big clans are gonna kill each other off.
Based on what I'm seeing from this little summary here, it's possible though that Mei did what she did, and this is kind of the final straw for the end of like the current structure of the Jujutsu world, and we're not gonna see like the rest. Like the clans are gone, the old heads from back then are gone, the old sorcerers are gone. I mean, it's very possible that this is not going to lead to a sequel. I can see how this is just going to wrap up.
See how it doesn't, but the fact that she's like, oh, the Gojo clan, the Kamo clan are gonna take each other out. That's like, is that what her plan is? Is like for all the families to kill each other? But also, side note, we've never met anyone else besides Gojo from his clan. We've never met anybody else.
Yeah, this for me at the very least, this is such a left turn in terms of like this because we knew there was problems with like the clan structure. Obviously, that was more illustrated through not only like Maki's backstory but Gojo's backstory as well. But it never seemed like a big focus on the Jujutsu Kaisen story to really address who was dealing with that. And then obviously Gojo killed all the elders. So this is just a huge part for like the last three chapters.
Like it doesn't make sense.
This is a huge part to throw in for the last three chapters. Like I can't remember a manga that throws in such a huge like plot point for the last three chapters. To be fair, I mean he lore dumped crazy in this chapter. He can lore dump crazy in the last two, and maybe it'll answer all our questions.
I'm sorry. I don't know if Gege understands this, but none of us gave a damn about the simplified domain or new shadow style. We wanted Hanan era lore. That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Maybe Gege just doesn't have a clear picture on what he envisioned for the Heian period. He just had ideas of how it shaped the current world and is really just focused on the current world, which fair, I guess.
It's like, bruh, I don't know. But if this does lead to like a war between the clans, like what's the point of that? And also, why would Tengen help? Why would Tengen help her? Like I know, like the barrier still about to collapse?
I think they need to just because they needed a way to fight Sukuna. So like if Tengen didn't do it and the merger happened, then Tengen would have fused everybody and it would have fucked things up. So I understand like you need to help her so that these niggas can fight Sukuna. So that Tengen doesn't merge with the world.
You need to help. Like, what did he do to help her again?
So help
He
her.
told her where to find the head of the clan.
Okay.
From what I read from the scans is that there's a binding vow that only certain people can use basically break the binding vow so that you have access to at least what I saw. So the people use simple domains. so that they can counter Sukuna because they would need a domain counter.
Oh, bro, I feel like maybe I'm tripping, but I didn't feel in the when they were fighting Sukuna, I felt the impact, like simple domain being used a lot, but I don't think they built up how important simple domain was until that point.
Wait, how so? Wait, you talking just domain counters like that? Wait, why not?
Oh, it's just the impression I'm getting for simple domain, because like when you build up like huge techniques, like
I feel like they use super domains a lot up to this
no,
point.
yeah, but I'm talking about build up its importance, like
Isn't
using it a lot versus building up to make it important to the fan base is different. Because like I feel like they've done that with Black Flash, with Yuji.
I guess here's my question: How would you build the importance of it if we just know that it counters the most powerful technique, like the peak of Jujutsu sorcery? Like, I guess my question would be outside of like this other stuff. I'm just talking about simply the technique. What ways could you build up to it that doesn't stress the importance, outside of showing that's a way to counter the peak of Jujutsu sorcery?
But at the same time, like the explanation for simple domain was simple, so like none of this was really needed.
I'm not even talking about the explanation or simple domain. What I'm really talking about is how now we're kind of learning that. Well, based on what you say, because I don't have the real like full chapter, so I'm going based purely off what you just told me. If there was a deal that needed to take place for more people to use simple domain in the fight, I think you need to build on. I thought it would. I personally think that before all of this, you can build up how this limitation of simple domain was and such an issue for sorcerers, considering how important simple domain would be in these confrontations, and to make simple domain seem like one of the most important techniques for some to the average fan. So you gotta express that by having characters kind of elicit its importance and its value. From like reactions, from how they talk about it, other than obviously its usability in a fight.
Yeah, because to your point, simple domain was great for Yuji because he survived Sukuna's domain expansion with it, and also he doesn't really have techniques like that. So like a simple domain and new shadow style is like perfect for him because as they said in the chapter, the new shadow style and simple domain is for people that don't really have curse techniques. So that brings up like it was one of them. It helped Yuji survive. So I agree. Like they should have made it seem more important early on than what they did.
Yeah, Santo, they did do with Kusakame, but also it was like I said, in the fight already, they were using it a lot. I already admitted to that. But also it's Kusakabe too, which also is a character like who ended up being very valuable. And now he's the head of the shadow style. Like, was Kusakabe really like that in throughout the manga? Because I don't remember him doing anything until that. So I'm like,
I mean, he killed some curse sorcerers in Shibuya.
W
before he got punked by Sukuna. But other than that, yeah. No, but
Tyler, were you going to say something? Because I think you were about to say something.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I thought
I heard you say like, what was because the biggest mystery from this is like when she said they tarnished my brother's name. So
is it Kusakabe's her brother? I
no,
I don't know, bro.
No, she's talking about Ui.
How
are they
we
talking about Mei?
Yeah, maybe the last page where she said they tarnished my brother's name. How did they no one's ever mentioned Yue besides her. Like no one it wouldn't make sense that they tarnished a kid's name. That doesn't make any sense.
Maybe it is him, and he's way more important than we. Bro, why are these?
Maybe he just really is. You know what? They did mention before that this technique was prohibited. From outsiders, they just didn't go in depth about it.
Did they say it like in like a one like sentence and just casually?
So it was. So we had seen Simple Domain a few times before this, but this is during the Mekamaru and Mahito fight. They did another explanation about Simple Domain as far as like the technique, what it used in the hand era, and then it being passed down to families, and also being restricted from outsiders being used. Like that was the gist of it. And then explaining that it's protect you from like is an ultimate domain counter. So like that's at least because I just went back to see like I mean obviously I can't go back to see I have to really go and do a deep dive, but
Yeah.
I was just looking at instances where it was used, and then when Mekamaru used it just to see like if there was anything mentioned, and it was they gave us lore on it. And I mean it's obviously used other times and we see other things about it, but in other domain counters like Hollow Wicker Basket and all that stuff. So I think that maybe you could. I think you'd argue that it's vague. Like what it like it being prohibited is more of a or well, I guess keep it for outsiders isn't the vague part, but more so what you would do for outsiders to be able to use it. That part might not be vague. But also, let me go. I might have to go back and reread. But from that, we know it was like this whole thing about, and that would make sense why Mei had to mention that if they mentioned that Asas can use it in the fight, and maybe I took care of it. That would make sense why she said that.
You know what? What Jujutsu Kaisen has done for me in this situation is it's one of the few mangas, Attack on Titan's one, that has amazing readability. JJK is 100% a manga I'm gonna have to reread because
Yeah.
there is
It's a
so
lot.
much.
It's a lot of info.
Not only that, the way Gage connects stuff, he pretty much requires, yo, I said this one sentence right here. I need you to remember that sentence over here for you to understand what I'm talking about now. So Gage does that a lot. So
I'm gonna go back to the. Let me see something real quick.
Oh, and just the last paragraph, because like where it makes it seem like she's not talking about UA is where they say if the Kyon family falls apart and the Kamo and Gojo clans take each other down in the grand showdown, ... above all, they're trying to tarnish my brother's name. This was bound to happen. So like it wouldn't make sense that all three clans are trying to tarnish her little brother's name. That doesn't make sense.
unless he's that important.
Yeah, Hikari says, "Isn't there a body about limited to new shadow stuff?" Maybe it says, "No problem. I handled it." Oh, yeah. You know, so if you connect what we know about the from the L'Oreal domain counters, know that it's restricted, know it's passed down through families, and then tie it back to Mei. I mean, I guess.
Are they going to pull a swerve where the little brother is like the final villain?
What?
Unless it's like somebody that we don't know about, because like that, I don't know. It doesn't make because either one doesn't really make sense. Either like this little kid somehow some god that all the clans are afraid of, or and there's some and what did they do to tarnish his name? That doesn't even make sense. Or she has another brother that we don't know about.
He's Sukuna 2.0.
You know what though? This is why I think we need to go to officials, because sometimes some of these scans they just will say things that like that's just not what they say. You know what I'm saying? So because
I agree. So like when the official scans come out, like we'll know. But like if she has like some secret brother, bruh.
Because I like that doesn't sound right. So I don't know. We probably have to see what what's the name said.
Yeah. Last thing we'll say, and then we'll wrap it up. A lot of people are saying they never give up. They never give up. They're saying that there's things in this chapter that is alluding to a Gojo return.
Oh my gosh!
What?
Don't give up, bro.
Yo, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell.
Oh, and the editor's comments was you pay the price for with your life. 2 chapters left. So I don't know.
So let me read this post and Ty go off. So this person who posted the leak said, post Sukuna defeat, clocks have been seen all around with the latest in JJK 269 reading 221. In JJK 221, it is when Gojo was unsealed. And looking at the second hand, it seems to be in 28, moving toward 29. The age Gojo currently is 29, and the same age Buddha had true enlightenment. Top this with Mei mentioning the Gojo clan, the same clan often said to rely on Satoru as a one-man clan. Geje may be trying to tell us something.
Now, not only that, so you know the previous chapter where it was like, we saw them walking down the hallway. They said, oh, it's 8 minutes until, right? 8 minutes till the top of the hour, right? And back in the early chapters, You know when Gojo took Itadori to his entrance exam with Yaga, Yaga's like, you're 8 minutes late. So 8 minutes till the top of the hour. But also back in chapter 3, he was 8 minutes late to the exam. I'm like, bro. And you know what? You know what? Here's my problem, right? If he doesn't come back, he'll be like, he gave us all these hits for nothing. Like, bro, these maybe you just connected dots that weren't there. Maybe you're connecting dots that weren't actually dots. Maybe
Facts.
like I'm not gonna say, oh, he was 8 minutes late to this meeting at one time, and there's 8 minutes to the top of the hour. That means that Gojo's coming back. Like, bro. Also, the infinity. If you turn the infinity over on upside down, it makes an 8. I'm like, bro, like. And if Gabriel doesn't do it, he's a bad writer. He should have never hinted so much. I'm like, maybe you guys are fucking.
Oh yeah, Gojo fans are about to be. I've never seen a character. I like Gojo. I really do like Gojo. Gojo might be the most glazed character.
He's polarizing. I've never seen he's the most polarizing New Gen character. Like,
oh, for sure, man.
Like, this is insane. Like, his fans are actually insane. Like, I'm not even trying. Like, there's something mentally wrong up there. That they yeah. Listen, man, let it go. He's dead, bro. Let it go.
Yeah, Gojo's cooked, man. Just let it be. But that's all we got for today. We reacted to JJK new chapter with the unofficial skins. We want to do this today because our boy Ty's birthday is tomorrow. Say happy birthday to Ty in the comment section, of course. And so we want to make sure we talk about it a little bit. We'll talk about the official translations on Tuesday. Don't you worry. And then we plan to do a One Piece chapter reaction and review later today as well. So appreciate everybody. Stay tuned, like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Peace.